Hello everyone, and in this video we're going to talk about object destructuring. What is that? Let's say that you have an object. That object is going to be called person, and that person is going to have a first name. Let's do something like Gary, and then it's also going to have the last name, which is going to be something like V, Gary V. Now let's say that Gary V also has a car, and that car has a color. Color can be red, and also that car has a number of wheels, so that's going to be equal to 4. Let's also say that Gary has a few animals, so that animals can be an object, and then there we're going to have a dog. Gary's dog has a name of Fluffy, just like that, and he can also have a cat, so let's do a cat, and cat's name is going to be equal to something like Kitty, just like that. Now, both dog and the cat have age, so their age can be something like 3 years old. Now, my question for you is to console log separately each and every one of Gary's properties. To do that, we would do something like this. Console.log person.firstName, person.lastName. As you can see, we get Gary V. Now, if we keep moving forwards, let's see what's going to happen. Person.car.color, and we also need to do person.car.wheels. Okay, moving forward, we need to do person.animals.dog.name, and we also have to do person.animals.dog.age. You can see how repetitive does this code get. We shouldn't be writing dry code. Dry stands for don't repeat yourself. And as you can see, this is quite repetitive. We are always saying person, always repeating car, always repeating person.car.animals. And if we just finish it up, person.animals.cat.age, and then person.animals.cat.name, just like that. So if you see that, there's a lot of repetition happening here. How can we solve that using object destructuring? Object destructuring allows you to take some properties outside of an object. You take them and you bring them out. The syntax is as follows. Const, and then immediately you don't have a variable name, you put a set of an opening and closing curly brace. And then you say equal to, and in here you put the name of the object you want to take things from. In our case, it's called person. Now, what do we put in curly braces? In there, we put things we want to take outside from that object. In this case, we want to take the first name. We also want to take in the last name. So we can say a last name. We can also take the car and animals, right? Now, what's happening is we're bringing these properties or these variables outside in the global scope. What we can do now is you don't have to say person.firstName. You can simply say first name and it's going to work because as you can see, we brought it right there. With this, we can now remove all instances of person and everything is still gonna work. As you can see, if I do that, there we go. Everything is still here, all the data, even though we just made our code much less repetitive. Now you can see there are still some things we are repeating, like car is being repeated 3 times, also animals is being repeated 4 times. So to fix that, we can now take things outside from the car. You can see the car is here. But how do we take out properties from the car? You put a colon sign and then another pair of opening and closing curly brace. In there, you can take all the other properties like color and wheels. And I just noticed I have wheels 2 times here, so I'm gonna get rid of that. And now what you can do is you can simply say color and that's it, and wheels. You don't have to repeat color.car and so on. We are taking all of these properties outside from that person object. Now let's remove these and let's focus just on animals. So I'm gonna get rid of everything besides the animals and let's just repeat one more time how we can do that. First we have the person object. To access that we have to do person.animals.dog.name. In this case what you can do, person, you take animals from the person, then you take out the dog and the cat from the person, and now you can get rid of the animals. You can just use the dog and cat variable. As you can see, everything still works. Of course, you could go one step forward and take the name and the age from the dog and the cat, but then you would have the same variable names. So let's just leave it like this for now. And that's what it is. If you're repeating some properties really often, then you might want to use object destructuring just to remove the need to repeat yourself so often. This is used a lot in a few cases. For example, if you start working on backend side JavaScript with Node, in there, you're going to have something that looks like this. Const, you're going to have some sort of a function there, so const test, and you're going to get two different things as params, request and the response. If you remember, on the right side, we specify where we're taking things from, in this case from the request object, and in here you can say what are you taking off. Usually we have the body, we have the params, and so on. So you really will be using object destructuring a lot. And then if you take a look at the React example, in React you're going to have some components that look like this. Component is going to be an arrow function, and then in there you're going to get something known as props. People also always destructure the props, so you can immediately take the keys and values from those props like so, using the destructuring. That's it. But everything in the right time. Right now you know what object destructuring is, so if you see it in a tutorial or in a video or somewhere else while learning these frameworks, you're gonna know what it is. And with object destructuring, we also have array destructuring. It is a bit less used, but still, it is there. So let me show you how it works. Let's say that you have an array, and that's gonna look something like this. Const introduction, and it's gonna contain a few words inside of it. Hello is gonna be the first word, then we're gonna have I, then we're gonna have something like M, and then let's do something like Sarah. Hello, I am Sarah. So how would you take the greeting from this array? You would have to do something like this. Const greeting is equal to, and then in there you can say introduction and specify the index. In this case, 0. We want to get hello. And now you can do the same thing with the name. So const name, and that's going to be under the index of 3. Just like so. Now we can finally console log the greeting, and we can console log the name, and we get a hello Sarah. Now that's a lot of work just to do that. So we can use array destructuring. Array destructuring allows you to take only some of the values from an array. In this case, let's do something like this. The syntax is similar to object destructuring, but you do it like this. Const, and then you put square brackets here, and then is equal to, and then from where you want to take the properties out, in this case, introduction. Now, in objects, you specify the keys you wanted to take out, like person, name, animals, car, whatever. But in arrays, we don't have keys, right? So by what logic can you take properties out? Well, by indexes. So what you can do is you can specify, for example, something like greeting. And what do you think this greeting is going to be equal to? Let's console log it. As you can see, we get hello. So greeting is the 0 index or the first value here, and that corresponds to the 0 index or the first value in the array. And then if we add something like this, second thing, so let's do something like A, what is A going to be equal to? Well, it is equal to the second thing in the array. Now, what you can do is you can add empty commas. So if you only want to take the last thing, is you can add 2 empty commas there, and then you can get to the last thing, which is a name. Now we can console log that name, and as you can see, we get hello Sarah. Not all that useful, because this is also not a big deal to do. We can easily do that, but you can see, if you need it, you have it. This is array destructuring. Object destructuring is used much more often because it has so much more functionalities, but now you know both object and array destructuring. And with that, we covered all of the most modern JavaScript features, ES6+. Everything that you need to know, now you know. Let's move forwards.